Speaking of brainless vegetables, here's another clip. This is of a protester at NYU explaining, or trying to explain, you would think, important question of why is she protesting in the first place. Listen.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU is doing.
Is there something that NYU is doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU is doing?
About what?
About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated.
I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
So why are they protesting? Well, yeah, I mean, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? Like if that should be the one thing you know when you're in a protest is why you're there, because it's like you must want something. Otherwise, what are we doing? And if you're protesting a certain institution, you should have some idea of like what you want that institution to do. But these protesters, they're all shouting at NYU, and NYU says, like, why are you mad at us? Well, I don't know, but we're mad. There's a reason. And here's what I don't get. If you know that you don't know why you're protesting, then why would you volunteer to talk to the guy with the camera in the first place? Like, what did you think was going to happen? How did you think the conversation was going to go? She's at least aware of her own ignorance. And if you're aware of your own ignorance, then why? Then if somebody tries to stop you with a camera and talk to you, just say, "Oh no, I don't have time. Sorry, got to get back to protesting for reasons I can't explain." Now, of course, it's not a surprise that they didn't know why they were protesting. And as much as we talk about the radicalism of these protesters, we can't forget that the radicalism is really among the ringleaders, the most devoted ones, the ones shouting to bullhorns and so on. So you have like three levels when it comes to these kinds of protests. You've got the people that are bankrolling it, and they don't really care about the reason. The pretense is irrelevant to them because they have their agenda is beyond that. And then you've got the ringleaders on the ground, right? The people that are there on the ground in the bullhorns, organizing it. They're there. They're actually taking part. Those are the true believers, those people. And then those people go and recruit people like this, who, aren't really radical at all. They don't even understand what the cause is. They don't care. They don't know why they're there. This is just a social event for them. It's just what you do. All your friends are going protesting. It's trending on social media. Seems like a fun thing. So let's go do it. And that's going to be the bulk. That's going to be the lion's share at a protest like this. James Lindsay tweeted in response to that clip that protesting is leftist church. And of course he's right. And that's a kind of a great way of putting it. And just like real church, it's a similar dynamic in real church. If you go to real church, you've got your devout believers who are there and are the most excited and all of that. But then you've got an even larger contingent of sort of social churchgoers, and they go because it's what you do. It's the culture. It's where they find some semblance of community. It's where they find some semblance of structure and purpose in life. And so they go for that reason. But they don't necessarily believe all the doctrines or even know what the doctrines are. It's the exact same scenario for these protests. Well, it's summer, and that means spending more time outdoors. Whether I'm out on a camping trip or fishing with my family, I'm prepared for anything with my bearskin tactical hoodie. Unlike most hoodies that are ill-fitting, bulky, uninspiring, and boring, the bearskin hoodie is a breath of fresh air. It's not just about comfort and style. It's about durability that stands up to anything. When you drape a bearskin hoodie over your shoulders, you'll instantly understand why it's earned its name. The bearskin hoodie is fully adjustable. You can adjust the waist, arms, and hood to lock in warmth and customize your fit. Plus, it has 12 pockets, perfect for outdoor activities from when it's a little cold to a full-blown snowstorm. This hoodie We'll see you through all 4 seasons and all the worst weather while still making you feel comfortably at home anywhere you go. So go on, discover your bearskin today. Right now, my listeners will get 60% off their first bearskin tactical hoodie. Visit bearskinhoodie.com/Walsh, bearskinhoodie.com/Walsh. So talking to this woman, it's like if you were to stop some casual Christian coming out of Christmas Mass, one of these types that only goes to Mass or goes to church on Christmas. And this is, this is Christmas. For people that are in protest church, this is Christmas. This is their big holiday event for the year. But it's like stopping one of those at Christmas Mass and asking them really any question about basic doctrine or theological questions. Like they're Christmas Mass. Maybe stop them and say, hey, which Gospels have an infancy narrative? How many Gospels have an infancy narrative and which ones? And of course, the answer you're going to get is like, infancy what? What do you what do you mean? Is there more than one Gospel? What are you talking about? Do they not all say exactly the same? They have no idea. They're there to celebrate the birth of Christ, ostensibly. And they couldn't tell you the first thing about the birth of Christ or where it is in the Bible. Like if you gave them a Bible and said, okay, I'll give you 30 seconds, find the part in the Bible or one of the parts in the Bible that has this story, they would not know how to do it. That's like the majority of people you'd find in a Christian church. And again, so now I've really just gotten into complaining about that because that is a bigger problem as far as I'm concerned as a Christian. But it is a similar thing on the left. And this is their religion. And they go just to be there. So, when we're talking about, and we're going to get into this more actually in the daily cancellation, but we're talking about the reasons why people go to these protests and what motivates them. It is important to keep in mind that it's not just one thing. There's a lot to end up with a situation like this where you have mass protests across the country. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a multifaceted phenomenon. And one of the things that goes into it is an immense amount of ignorance. You need a lot of ignorant people who will just show up and they don't care. And by the way, that's also one of the reasons why on the right, among conservatives, we have a harder time getting protest movements going or getting even a single protest going. It's a lot more difficult to organize, and it's this sort of thing. If there's a mass protest movement with people all across the country, especially one that seems to spring up spontaneously, even though it's not spontaneous, even before you know any of the details, you automatically know that it's a left-wing thing. Because on the right, that basically never happens. There is one that I could think of. There's one kind of perennial, consistent annual protest movement on the right, which is the pro-life movement, the March for Life. Outside of that, it just never happens. And there are a couple reasons for that. But a big part is you look at, again, the 3 levels. To have the pro-Palestine protest, there are 3 levels. You got the big money backers who don't really care about the issue, that are funding all of this. Then you've got your devout believers on the megaphones, and then you've got your ignorant people who just show up because it's something to do. The left has all of that, has all those layers. On the right, we only have the middle layer. We don't have the big money backers. We don't have institutional support for our protest movements. So we're not going to have shadowy billionaires coming along and offering us lots of money and with a lot of different shell organizations and all this kind of stuff who are contributing to it. So we don't have that. We do have the true believers. We got the people that are the bullhorn types, right? The actual activists. And then we don't have the final layer either, which are just like the ignorant masses who will just show up because it's something to do. So if you're on the right, and I know this is someone who's a time organized or been a part of organizing these kinds of rallies and things a time or two, I know this from experience that the only people who will show up are the ones who really care about this, which is great. It's great to have them. But if you want to have the mass event, you want to get thousands of people showing up, especially all across the country, You need to get people who will just show up because, like, I don't know, it's just what we do. The left has that because, again, it's part of their culture. It's part of their culture. It's a habit. It's a recreation for them. On the right, it's not part of the culture. It's not recreational. And so for conservatives, if you want them to come to a protest, you got to convince them that it's really worthwhile. And even most of the ones that agree that it's worthwhile, they're like, I'm not going to go. I got to work. I'm not going to take, all right, you want me to take off work for this? I'm not going to do that. I don't care that much. That's the way most conservatives look at it, which is, not really the right way of looking at it, by the way. I mean, you do have to worry about your job and all that, but this is an advantage the left has, that they see this kind of activism as a top priority, and they see it as an effective way of moving their agenda forward, and oftentimes it is. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.